They called him Osajefo, the Redeemer, a man who rose from humble beginnings in the Gold Coast to become the architect of modern Ghana and the voice of a continent's awakening. His name was Kwame Nkrumah, a leader whose vision stretched far beyond the borders of one nation, a man who dared to imagine a united Africa, free from the chains of colonialism and the silent grip of neo-colonial power. Welcome to Echoes of Africa, the home of forgotten voices and timeless legacies. Together, we uncover the greatness of Africa's past to inspire the future. Kwame Nkrumah's story begins in Nkroful, a small village in the western region of the Gold Coast, where he was born in 1909. The son of a goldsmith, he grew up in modest surroundings, but with a sharp mind and an unshakable curiosity. Education was his ladder out of poverty, and with each rung he climbed, his world expanded. From Achimota School in Accra to Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, and then the University of Pennsylvania, Nkrumah's journey took him far from the Gold Coast. It was in America that he absorbed the ideas that would shape him: Pan-Africanism, socialism, and the conviction that true independence must be political, economic, and cultural. He was not just a student of books but of movements. In the US, he joined African-American intellectual circles, learning from the likes of Marcus Garvey's vision of Black pride and call for Pan-African unity. Later, in London, he immersed himself in the fiery debates of the Pan-African Congress of 1945, where the blueprint for decolonization was drawn. He emerged from these experiences armed not only with degrees but with a mission: to liberate Africa from foreign domination. Returning to the Gold Coast in 1947, Nkrumah quickly rose as the people's leader. As the head of the Convention People's Party, he organized rallies, strikes, and protests, mobilizing farmers, workers, and the youth under the banner of "Self-Government Now." He was imprisoned by the British for his agitation, but instead of silencing him, his arrest ignited a fire across the land. In 1951, still behind bars, he won a landslide election victory. The British had no choice. They had to release him. And so, Kwame Nkrumah became the Prime Minister of the Gold Coast. 6 years later, on March 6, 1957, he stood before a jubilant crowd in Accra and declared Ghana's independence, the first sub-Saharan nation to break colonial chains. "At long last, the battle has ended," he said, "and thus, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever." That moment electrified not just Ghana, but the entire African continent. Liberation had a name, a face, and a voice. But for Nkrumah, independence was not an end, it was only the beginning. He believed that the independence of Ghana was meaningless unless it was linked with the total liberation of Africa. And so he dreamed bigger. He envisioned a continental federation, one government, one army, one economy, one destiny. Through his writings, Nkrumah became Africa's philosopher king. His autobiography, Ghana, recounted the story of a people's struggle. Consciencism laid out the philosophical foundations of African socialism, merging traditional African values with modern science and socialist principles. In Africa Must Unite, he called for a continental union, warning that Africa divided would remain weak and vulnerable. And in Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism, he exposed how Western powers continued to dominate newly independent states through economic control, multinational corporations, and political interference. His words were a torch for freedom fighters, a warning to leaders, and a challenge to the West. Nkrumah did not stop at theory. He turned his ideas into action. His most ambitious project was the Akasambo Dam, part of the Volta River project, designed to provide hydroelectric power that would fuel Ghana's industrial revolution. He built schools, universities, hospitals, and research centers. He launched literacy programs, expanded education, and provided scholarships for thousands of Ghanaians and other Africans. He wanted to prove that Africa could modernize on its own terms, without dependence on the West. Internationally, he became the champion of Pan-Africanism. He hosted liberation leaders from across the continent in Accra, offering them support, training, and a base for their struggles. He was instrumental in founding the Organization of African Unity in 1963, even though he wanted it to go further, into a true union government for Africa. Still, his voice was clear. The independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked with the total liberation of Africa. But Nkrumah's boldness came at a price. His critics at home accused him of authoritarianism, pointing to his one-party state and the Preventive Detention Act, which allowed the arrest of opponents without trial. His rapid industrialization programs strained Ghana's economy, especially when cocoa prices, the backbone of the economy, collapsed. Farmers grew restless, civil servants complained, and the opposition found fertile ground. Meanwhile, outside Ghana, the West was watching. Nkrumah's friendship with the Soviet Union and China made him a threat in the eyes of Washington and London. His book Neo-Colonialism infuriated the United States, which saw it as a direct attack. Declassified documents later revealed that Western intelligence agencies, particularly the CIA and MI6, cultivated contacts within Ghana's military and political opposition. For them, Nkrumah was too radical, too independent, and too dangerous to their interests in Africa. On February 24, 1966, while Nkrumah was on a state visit to North Vietnam and China, the hammer fell. A coup d'état, led by Ghanaian military and police officers, toppled his government. The news hit him like a storm. The dream of a united, industrial Africa had been cut down. Behind the coup, whispers of foreign interference loomed large. Nkrumah himself believed it was orchestrated by Western powers, and history has only strengthened that suspicion. Exiled and brokenhearted, Nkrumah found refuge in Guinea, where President Ahmed Sékou Touré named him honorary co-president. From Conakry, he continued to write, refusing to let his dream die. In Dark Days in Ghana, he documented the betrayal of his nation and the foreign hands that fueled it. Even in exile, he remained a beacon for revolutionaries across Africa and the diaspora. But the years weighed heavily. Isolated from the country he loved, his health deteriorated. In 1972, Kwame Nkrumah died in Romania while receiving medical treatment. He was just 62 years old. Ghana mourned, Africa mourned, and the world lost one of its boldest visionaries. Yet Nkrumah's legacy did not die with him. The Akasambo Dam still powers Ghana. The Organization of African Unity, though imperfect, laid the foundation for today's African Union. His writings continue to inspire scholars, leaders, and activists. Statues of him stand tall in Accra, his name etched in history. And his warnings about neo-colonialism ring louder than ever in a world where foreign powers still pull economic strings across Africa. Kwame Nkrumah's life was both triumph and tragedy. Triumph in showing what Africa could achieve with bold leadership, tragedy in the betrayal that cut his mission short. He dreamed of an Africa that was strong, united, and self-reliant. And though he did not live to see it, his vision remains a rallying cry. Osejefo once said, "Seek ye first the political kingdom, and all else shall be added unto you." Those words still echo today, reminding us that true independence is not given. It is taken, built, and defended.
Africa is rich and not poor. As the great wealth that has been taken out of our continent over 5 centuries of spoliation and extortion very well proves. Africa has immense actual and potential wealth. Gold, diamond, copper, manganese, bauxite, iron ore, uranium. Our essential agricultural produce have all been drained away by colonialist imperialism. Africa is far from being poor. It is Africans who are poor, not Africa. And they are poor because of the uncounted profit that has been made out of the exploitation of their labor and their lands.
Kwame Nkrumah was more than Ghana's first president. He was Africa's symbol of unity, the man who saw beyond borders, beyond tribes, beyond colonial divisions. His legacy is a challenge to us all, to complete the work he began, to build the Africa he envisioned. This is the story of Kwame Nkrumah, the visionary who dreamed of a united Africa.